born and raised mainly in Idaho, and my family's all from Coeur d'Alene, so spent my later years there and then came to U of I and joined Kappa Alpha Theta, was a fashion design major with a business minor. And that's where I found Resonate and got involved. And it's just kind of been a journey of how God has used all of that foundational stuff to springboard me into like where I am today. But was always really passionate about clothing and styling, and never fully knew how that was going to impact his kingdom and how he would use it, but doors just kept opening, so it's just what I pursued and had some really amazing opportunities. Resonate asked me if I wanted to renew my contract, and I was like, why am I not saying yes? But there was just something inside me that wouldn't let me write yes. It was similar to when I was making my U of I decision. But I went to Thailand with Resonate for 2 months after I finished interning, and I was like, that's maybe wise, because God's gonna call me. And I was very passionate about sex trafficking. I'd been doing advocacy stuff for my last couple years of college, and I didn't sign the contract to renew, but had no idea what I was going to be doing. And I was like, oh, I must be going to have to, I'll probably be moving to Thailand afterwards. Then when I got back, my friend Libby reached out to me and asked if I wanted to move to the Tri-Cities and start a kids' clothing line. So I was like, well, what if we made it, somehow impacting trafficking? The two of us as business partners grew exponentially during that time, and then we just really felt like we wanted to make a bigger impact. So we had reached out to AIM to see if they could produce for us. And then in one conversation with the founder, he was like, why don't you guys just move to Cambodia? And so we talked and prayed about it, and then it just kind of felt like we were at a place where we either needed to get investors and move to that next step to be able to really impact how we wanted to, or I needed to move to Cambodia and help AIM get to a level where we could then produce with them. Because if the whole point is to help trafficking, why would we be producing with someone else when we could be giving sustainable employment to women that have been rescued out to keep them from having to go back into that life? I think there's always been something in how God designed me to know that that is something I want to fight for equality for people. So I think learning about trafficking, it just struck that inner chord that I've had even since I was little, that I knew that I couldn't just sit back and not do anything. Go back for a sec to with William and Leora. William and Leora grew me in skill sets I didn't think I was capable of. And so even at my pattern making, we were going to outsource it because I had studied it in school, always been quite good at it, but I didn't feel like I had enough real world experience to do it ourselves. But Libby really pushed me and being like, I believe in you and I think you can do this. And it kind of opened up a whole skill set. And so having that and then being approached by AIM to come and do this, I saw that there was something that I had thought was I wasn't capable of, and God just dropped into my hand and was like, I just need you to trust me with this. And it grew a whole skill set that I now look back and I'm like, I couldn't do my job right now if I didn't have that. So God was growing all this this skill set side, but all along I just had this I can't even explain it. I've just always had this deep passion and desire to help women that have been through trafficking. And it didn't even start with trafficking. I think I look back and I look at like my high school, college essays, and it's all about how I wanted to impact the world, how I wanted to use fashion to, whether it was like being able to give clothes to people that can't afford them, or coats to kids that are freezing, or there was just always this heart to help take care of people, and for some reason had to do with clothing. So Cambodia, in the early 2000s, was the epicenter for child trafficking. I remember when I was first living in Cambodia and talking to people, and they'd be like, I can't believe people sell their kids. But if you look at it, their family unit was broken. Such high poverty, they've been starving, they've been afflicted by violence, abuse. And so, you know, when someone comes in and is like, hey, I'll give you $500 for your kid that you have 9 of, and you can't feed the other ones, but if you give me 1, you'll be able to feed them. And it's just something that we just, as a society, can't even imagine or understand, but it was like survival for them. And so this whole industry, in a sense, like grew out of people preying on poverty. There's a Cambodian proverb that says, men are like gold. When they're stained or become dirty, you can just clean them and shine them. But women are like cloth. Once they're stained, you can never fully get it out. And so that's the mindset that are towards women. And so these girls have been defamed, or they're outcasts. And so AIM started to be able to create a home for these women. So it started as just a restoration center, and now we've moved into 4 pillars. So we have 4 pillars, which is prevention. And then we have our rescue is our next pillar, and that comprises of our SWAT team. So we have a SWAT team that works in conjunction with the anti-trafficking police. Then we have our restoration center, also our like halfway houses for girls that have come out of our restoration center but are going back into society and into employment but need a safe place to live because maybe their families aren't safe. I work in which is called reintegration. And so reintegration is after these girls graduate out of our rehabilitation program, they need jobs because we can't just send them back home. The whole reason they were sold in the first place is because their family needs income. And so we have a couple of training programs where, which is where I work, is called Agape or AIM Training Center. And so we employ around 100 women and they kind of rotate through as they move on to different jobs and such. But some of them have been there for years. Everyone's on a different journey, but we teach them, you know, how to sew and how to make jewelry and different vocational skills. God is like, he's prepared me all of those years through all of the different things he's done in life, whether it's technical skills or it's even personal relationships or you know, the joy that he's instilled with me since I was little, you know, like all those things he's prepared me for where I am now, and he's the one that gets me through, and he's brought me the community to band around me. I have the most incredible pastors that speak into me, that see my gifts and pull them out and give me an outlet outside of AIM. So when it seems overwhelming, all the things I'm dealing with, I can go be creative at church. I feel really blessed to be able to look back over my life and how God has used each experience, whether it was like when I was a visual merchandiser and then now I'm running a store in Cambodia, you know, whatever it is in the time, knowing that if we are obedient and good stewards of that time to whatever he's calling to us, he's just going to use it so much greater. And so I'm excited to see where God is taking me next and what this season with AIM and in these women, and all this. The skill set that I've just grown from AIM is immeasurable.